Hey, I've been thinking some more about what Yellen said in her speech. I talked about it in my previous video. Pretty incredible if you think about it, because she basically came out and said now, ever since 2008, with Congress authorizing the Fed to pay interest on reserves directly, she basically came out and said that the sale of treasuries, the sale of government securities is unnecessary. I mean, she didn't use those words, but she said, when the Congress authorized the Fed to pay interest on reserves directly, that was a major, policy advantage, and it broke the link. Listen to this. These are her words. She said it broke the link between the level of reserves and the federal funds rate. That there it is, right there. Because before the Fed was able to pay interest on reserves, if the government spending causes reserve balances to rise, the Treasury had to sell bonds and notes and bills to drain reserves. Otherwise, the Fed would lose control of its policy rate and the rate would go down to zero. And basically, that's what Yellen was explaining. She said we could keep a positive rate now because we just pay it, and it's independent of the level of reserves. That's incredible. I mean, if people understood this, if lawmakers understood this, basically, Yellen just said, you don't need to sell government securities anymore. The whole function of the sale of treasuries and notes and bills was a reserve drain. In the past, you had to do that. Otherwise, like she said, the Fed would lose control of the rate and it would go down to zero. But now, when the Fed just pays reserves, you don't have to do that anymore. We're doing that for no reason whatsoever. It's incredible. If people understood this, and here we are, with the debt ceiling and all this nonsense about how we're borrowing, we're not. I mean, she basically came right out and said it. It's over. The whole thing is over. I wrote an article about this actually on realmoneyatthestreet.com today. You might want to check it out. I also put the link in there to Yellen's speech. But this is big. But it just went right over everybody's head. People don't understand it. That one sentence that broke the link between the level of reserves. In other words, she's saying the level of reserves could be anything. Could be infinity. Doesn't make a difference. The Fed just pays a rate. And no bank is gonna lend below that rate. Like I said before, that's like taxing themselves. Why would they? If the Fed's paying them 50 basis points, are they gonna lend at 25 basis points? No, they get 50 basis points paid to them by the Fed. And it doesn't matter what the reserve balances are. They could be infinity. Unbelievable. She just blew away the whole entire justification or prior justification for selling treasuries. We basically said we don't need to do this anymore. Congress, you gave the Fed the authorization that it needed. We don't need to do this anymore. Done, finished, over. Let's stop this charade of we're borrowing money and we got to sell bonds to borrow money and the Chinese are financing us and this and that and all these other fucking idiots who believe that, and they're out there on TV like very serious people talking about, what happens if the Chinese, even Hillary and Trump, they don't understand this. Nobody does. She just said it. Broke the link. Reserves could be infinity. Doesn't make a difference. Does not make a difference anymore. You don't need to drain them. And if you don't need to drain them, that means you don't need to sell bonds and notes and bills. It's over. The whole thing is over. It's been exposed as a total charade. Done. Should stop. Completely stop. It's ridiculous. The whole thing is ridiculous. Yellen, you ought to go in there to Congress and tell them, explain what you just said. I don't even know if she understands it, but she said it. Incredible. Think about it. It's amazing. Amazing. She just blew away the whole entire rationale for selling treasuries for the correct reason. The correct reason. She absolutely hit the nail on the head, hit it out of the park. It was a home run. It was a grand slam. Unfreaking believable. Unbelievable, people. The shit we do to ourselves for no reason. Unbelievable. There you go.